So today is September 9th. So if you want to put the date on your note sheet so you know which order it goes in, or you can just look at the title. 5.6 would come after 5.5. But the date is the 9th.
Wait, is this the 9th?
Today is the 9th.
No, wait. Month?
September 9, 9, 19.
I'm bad with months.
That's okay. Okay, so today we're going to do solving multi-step equations and inequalities. I already gave you the notes for you. I didn't make you write anything out. It's all here. It says solving multi-step inequalities is the same thing as solving multi-step equations. So these are the steps that we're going to follow. We're still going to circle our variable and draw our line of equality. If we need to, we're going to get rid of fractions. Now, I was nice and I didn't put any fractions in on this one. After that step, we're going to combine like terms or simplify. Once we get through all those steps, we're going to undo any addition or subtraction. So any addition or subtraction that's listed, we're going to undo that. Then after that, we're going to undo any multiplication or division. We do those again at the same time. It does not matter which comes first, going left to right. Whichever comes first from left to right is the one that we solve. And then if necessary, we're going to flip the inequality and then graph if need be, if it's an inequality and not an equation. Now, these undo things, you're basically looking at PEMDAS backwards, okay? So when I say undo, you're basically looking at PEMDAS backwards. Again, so basically to undo any addition or subtraction, undo any multiplication, division, it's basically, we know that PEMDAS is order of operations. We're basically at this point, this whole thing is PEMDAS backwards, okay? So when you're solving, when you're simplifying an expression or solving, you use PEMDAS. But when you're solving an equation and it's more than one step, you're going to use PEMDAS backwards, which is SAD-MAP. That's how I always learned it and remembered it. But I'm not going to lie, Miss Mallet uses the undo any addition or subtraction and undo any multiplication and division in her class, and I like that term, that style as well. So you can pick and choose. If you want to think of it as PEMDAS backwards, SAD-MAP, or undoing, you can do that as well. Okay, so let's get into our example problems here. So the first, we're going to start with inequalities. So we're solving multi-step inequalities, which means it's going to be more than one step. You should be able to tell how many steps there are just by how many terms there are. So how many terms do I have up here? Terms, it's just going to be based on the right. How many terms are up there? 1, 2, or how many operations are up there?
3.
1, 2, 3. So how many steps is it going to be? 3, okay? So according to your notes, step 1, we're still going to circle our variable, but in this case, how many do I have?
2.
Okay. We're still going to draw our line of equality. And then we're going to go ahead and solve. So when I go ahead and I solve, the first step says, the second step, get rid of any fractions if necessary. We don't have those. Combine like terms or simplify. Do I have any like terms up here?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and combine those. What are they?
Negative 5 and 4.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those. I'm going to bring them on me. 3 is less than, what's negative 5n plus 4n?
Negative 1.
Negative 1n. And then what did not have a like term that I can't forget about? So I'm still going to bring that negative 6 down. Okay. Then my next step is to undo any addition or subtraction. Do I have any addition or subtraction up here, Josh?
Negative 6 is the plus 6.
The negative 6. Why wouldn't this be counted as,
Because that's a variable, right?
and it means to,
Time.
okay. So yep, so any subtraction or addition we're going to undo. So we're going to undo that minus 6 and add 6. Same rule, whatever we do to one side of the line of equality, we still do to the other.
Oh, this kind of makes sense now.
Okay? So on my left side here, I go ahead and take 3 plus 6 and I get
9.
9 is less than negative 1n. Okay? My goal is to still get the variable by itself. What's the last step I need to do in order to get the variable by itself?
Divide
By?
negative 1 in.
Okay, so I'm dividing not by negative 1n, but by
Negative 1.
just by negative 1. since I'm dividing by a negative, and this is an inequality, what am I going to have to do? Flip the sign. So I'm going to bring down my n. What's 9 divided by negative 1?
-9.
Now, I want my variable on the left. So when I go to write my variable on the left, I have to remember that n is less than negative 9. So I need to make sure the sign shows according. So we're basically going to kind of have to flip it back.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
All right, when I go to graph it, is it going to be opened or closed? And it's saying n is less than negative 9, which means 9 is greater than n. So which way does my arrow go? There you go. That's it. Okay? So on your quiz on Friday, long time away from now, I know, but I'm going to look for these steps. I'm going to look for your variable, circled, line, and box. I'm going to look that you combine like terms and that you showed inverse operations and that you did the steps in the correct order, that you have the right answer, and that you are able to graph it correctly. Lots of things to remember. Okay. So again, at this point we know the expectation, circle, line. I'm going to get rid of any fractions if necessary. There are none there, so I don't need to worry about it. Then after that, I'm going to combine like terms or simplify. What can I combine like terms or simplify here?
I thought mine should distribute.
Yeah, what am I going to distribute?
-3 to the 2 and 1.
Okay, so I always bring down my stuff that I don't want to forget about, so I don't forget about it. All right, so then when I distribute, what does that end up being?
-6n.
Mm-hmm.
And then -3.
Okay. So after I start to simplify, are there any like terms that I can combine here? Are there any like terms that I can combine?
-3, -15.
Well, those are on different sides, right?
Yeah.
I can't just combine them.
Then no, there's not.
No, there's not. So then I go to my next step. Undo any addition or subtraction.
So you have to add 3?
Mm-hmm, that's right, because we're going to undo the minus. We undo that by using inverse, which is add 3. Whatever I do to one side again, I do to the other. So what do I have on my left side of my inequality now?
15, 3.
-15 plus 3,
-12.
-12 is less than, and what do I bring down on my right side?
-6 and
Okay. My goal is to still get the variable by itself.
5 by -6.
That's correct. Because I am dividing by a negative number. I flip my sign. What's -12 divided by -6? No. Positive 2. 2 negatives equal a positive. Now, because I want my variable on the left, I have to remember that m is less than 2. So I need to show that m is less than 2. So when I go to graph, am I going too fast? Okay. So when I go to graph, is it opened or closed?
Open.
And does it go right or left?
Left.
Questions? Okay. Flip it on over. Example number 3 and 4. Go ahead and write it down if you'd like. You right?
What?
Got it?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, so we have five times parentheses 6 plus 3r plus 7. So first thing I'm going to do, circle my variable, draw my line. And then I'm going to simplify and combine like terms. What can I simplify here?
You could distribute.
Again, yeah, using what number?
5.
5.
So I'm going to take 5 times 6. 5 times 3 are. Can I take that 5 times 7?
No.
Nah, because it's not in the parentheses. Okay, go ahead and distribute that. What do I get?
30.
30 and 15.
Then don't forget my what? My what?
Parentheses.
No, you got to bring that guy down. That plus 7 is less than or equal to 127. Okay. After I distribute, I then combine like terms.
30 and 7.
Okay.
30 plus 7.
Okay. What's that going to be?
37.
And I always like to put my number with the variable first. So what am I going to put down first then?
15R.
Okay. Then from here we undo any addition or subtraction. So what addition or subtraction do I need to undo here? Riley? If I'm undoing for my next step any addition or subtraction, what do I need to undo?
15.
Do you see any plus or minus signs up here?
Yeah, plus.
Yeah, plus 37. So let's undo that, which is,
Subtract.
yeah. So if I subtract 37 from one side, I'm going to subtract 37 from the other side. Okay? Bring 15R down. 15R is less than or greater than, what's 127 minus 37?
90.
Okay, last step. Finally, what's the last step here?
Divide by 15 on both sides.
Do I need to flip my sign?
No.
Nah. So R is less than or equal to
6.
open or closed,
Close.
left or right.
Left.
Nice job. Questions on that one? Is that a fun one? Okay. Number 4. How do I start this one?
Distribute.
Distribute again. So I'm going to distribute,
Negative 3.
and what do I get here?
Negative 3x plus 15.
Good job. Then bring down what?
The plus 4 carries out.
Okay. What's my next step I need to make sure I do?
Combine my term.
Not yet. What do I need to get rid of?
The carry top.
Yeah, which is going to equal.
16.
Now, Josh, you combine like terms. What are your like terms up there, Josh?
15, 16.
Okay. So if you notice, every time I'm coming down, I'm rewriting and showing all my work here. So what's 15 plus 6?
31.
Positive 31, right?
Yep.
Okay. From here, how do I get rid of, or how do I still need to work to get my variable by itself. So I undo any addition or subtraction first. So what does that mean I have to undo first?
31.
Okay, how do I undo that?
Minus it on both sides.
Okay, what's negative 5 minus 31?
Negative 36.
Okay. Almost to our last step. Now what?
Divide.
By?
3.
What kind of negative 3? Because it's an inequality and I'm dividing by a negative number, what happens here?
The sign flips the sign.
Okay, so I'm going to flip the sign. Why is that doing that to me today? What's negative 36 divided by 3?
12.
Okay. Now what's the problem with how I have this written though?
You gotta flip the sign back because the sign's on the wrong.
My variable's on the wrong side. So I'm going to still show that x is less than or equal to 12.
Yeah.
Okay? Open or closed?
Close.
Left or right?
Right.
Why?
Because the line flipped.
Wait, what?
It's left.
Because x is less than or equal to negative 12. Now, if we go right, I mean x is greater. Questions on solving multi-step inequalities.
Oh my gosh. No.
Do you feel like we should start with two-step equations and inequalities before multi-step?
Yes.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Is this too much?
No,
Yes.
This is perfectly fine. This is like,
Raise your thumbs up if you're totally fine with where we're at. Thumbs down if you think we should start with two-step equations. So again, we're just solving equations here. We don't have to worry about the inequality signs or flipping it or graphing it, but we're still going to follow the same steps. So we're still going to circle our variable, still draw a line of equality. My next step, if I can, I'm going to simplify by combining like terms. Can I do that here? Nah, I can't combine like terms. I can't distribute. So if I can't combine like terms, I can't distribute. I move down to the next step of my list. What's my next steps going to be? What are my next steps going to be? Can't do that. Flip your sheet over. Look at it. So we just said we can't.
undo. You have to undo.
Yeah, so now we're to undo. Step D, letter D. Undo any addition or subtraction. Do you see any addition or subtraction up here? What is it? Right. You saw subtraction.
Negative 2 minus 2.
So we're going to undo what? Which one's my subtraction? Because don't confuse the subtraction for multiplication or the multiplication for subtraction. So which one am I going to undo first? Yeah. So to undo it, I do what? Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. On my left, I bring down negative 2x. On my right, negative 16 plus 2.
Negative 14.
Negative 14. And how do I get the x by itself? Divide it by negative 2. I don't need to worry about flipping signs here because it's just a straight up equal sign. What's negative 14 divided by negative 2? Box it. Nice job. All right, here we go. Next one. We're going to circle our variable, draw a line. Okay, there's no simplifying or combining like terms. Where do I start with this one? Think back. Remember, we're basically doing order of operations backwards here.
The 6.
Okay, so because this here is considered a grouping symbol, what should we maybe do to help us remember that that's a grouping symbol?
Put parentheses.
Put parentheses around my top. So parentheses are around my top here. I'm going to do that last, which means I'm going to actually have to get rid of, so I can't undo any addition or subtraction yet because that's actually within parentheses. So I'm going to have to undo what first? Okay, so the opposite of divide is multiplying by 6 on each side. And then I bring down the x minus 8 on my left. And then what's negative 3 times 6? Okay, box. Oh no, can't box that, can I? Because the variable's not by itself yet. So what do I have to get rid of next? And I do that by, that's right. Now I can bring the x down. Negative 18 plus 8 is what? Negative 10. Then I box that. Questions on those two? Wait, you have it down. You answered it all. Last two here. Okay. A little bit longer, aren't they?
I'm not ready.
Did you say you're not writing?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep you in here until you do. Okay.
You're gonna keep me in here?
No, I'm not.
I was like, yeah.
So I'm going to bring down my 84 on my left side so I don't forget about it. Then on my right side, I'm going to look. According to my notes, after I circle my variable and draw my line of equality, the next thing that I'm going to do is what? So if I look at my note sheet, the next thing it says to do is get rid of fractions, which I didn't throw any fractions at you guys today. But then we're going to combine like terms and simplify. So if I'm going to combine like terms and simplify here, what does that mean? Where do I start?
-7.
What do I do with that?
Add it.
Not add it. If I'm combining like terms and simplifying before I start undoing.
What?
Let's try this one more time.
You gotta add that 7. Or subtract
No. So think about
that
it.
7. Distribute.
I circle my variable, I drew my line. My next step on my pink note sheet says get rid of fractions. I don't have fractions. The next step on my pink note sheet says to combine like terms or simplify. And I do that by, Chance just said it, distributing.
Riley said that.
Riley said that. Sorry, thanks for not taking the credit. Riley said it. So when I distribute, what's -7 times 1?
7.
How about -7?
-7.
And then -7 times positive 2r. What kind? -14r. And then what do I bring on down? Okay. From here. So I distributed. So from here, I'm going to combine like terms. What are my like terms here? What are my like terms? What are the same? Do I have any?
7s.
So I have a -7 and a +7. What's -7 plus 7?
0.
0. So I don't need to worry. Do I need to bring that 0 down?
No.
Nah. So what can I just bring down? Those pretty much cancel each other out.
The -14R.
-14r. Good. Still need to get the variable by itself. So from here, how do I do that?
Add 14.
Ooh, I'm not going to add it. Why not? Common mistake.
You divide it.
Because the 14 is such in the variable,
Yeah.
at multiply, opposite of multiply is divide. What's 84 divided by -14?
7.
You sure?
I don't know. I said 7.
Where's your guys' calculators? Use them.
-6.
-6?
I was like pretty close.
You were pretty close. I don't like this answer. Why not?
Because it has a negative.
It's on the wrong side.
It's on the wrong side. So what did I do,
Side.
Dylan?
Switch it.
Yeah, just switch it. I don't. So much easier to switch equations than inequalities, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
7.
You said I'm not going to let you leave. I was like, alright.
No, I know. I had to rephrase that because
I don't want to go to Miss
I'm recording. All right.
Can I see that?
From here, my first step, circle variable, draw a line of equality. Done. The next step on your notes says what? And y'all don't just sit and look at me like, oh, because you have your notes in front of you.
Get rid of fractions.
Do I have any fractions?
No.
No. So then what's my next step?
And combine like terms or something.
Okay, so what can I combine or simplify?
Distribute.
Yeah. What does that equal?
15R and 18. Minus 18.
There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring down my right side. Okay. Can I combine like terms here?
Yes. No.
No. So right here now, we have a two-step equation that we want to solve. So we still want to get the r by itself. So the next step after,
Add the 18.
how do you know? Because you're right, but what's the step? After we combine like terms and simplify, our next step on our notes say to,
Undo any addition or subtraction.
so undo any addition or subtraction, which Chance did for us. He said we're going to undo that minus 18 by adding it. Okay? So I bring down my 15R on my left equals, what's negative 123 plus 18?
Approximately
No, I don't want approximate. I want the real thing.
negative 1.
It is going to be a negative.
1.
Those of you that have
105.
105.
Hey, then what is it? Come on.
Now what?
What am I saying?
Huh?
Am I saying it?
And then you divide
By?
by 15. Okay, you can do that one.
The answer is
7.
make your favorite number.
R equals what?
7.
No.
-7.
Negative 7. Then yes. Yes. Never. Yes.